We'll go ahead and get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Amy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Sue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, do we have to do a roll call?
Roll call.
All right, roll call vote. Sorry.
We have to do roll call for virtual, right, Paul?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we lost Paul.
I was thinking that might have been what happened, but
We're out of practice.
yeah, we haven't done this in a while.
No kidding. There we go. He's coming back.
Recording starting again soon.
Sorry.
Now the question is,
Can you all hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. The recording is stopped, Paul. Do we need to wait or do it over again, or?
I'm going to restart the recording here.
Motion by Amy is second by Sue, and go into a roll call vote.
All right, Miss Johnson,
Aye.
Miss Seguin,
Aye.
Miss Roser,
Aye.
Miss Deppa,
Aye.
and Miss Rosenau.
Aye. All right, motion approved. And then we're gonna go on to new business, which is the hockey rink proposal. Matt, do you want to talk about it a little bit more?
Yep. So I've been having several meetings now that we've had a draft of, and I shared this draft with all the board members yesterday. This is after I've done 2 reviews with our district attorney and 2 major meetings to go over the agreement. So we have an understanding from all 3 parties of the spirit of the agreement and how do we move forward. The agreement basically is divided into 6 major articles, with the first portion of the agreement, which are the recitals, which is basically the technical terms of the givens. So we're a party of it, we're the district, we own the land, and it talks about the givens for each of the parties that are entering into the agreement. The first, now since all of the givens, the parties now wish to enter into this memorandum of understanding to define the details, rights, obligations, and responsibilities of the project. So they talked about the site acquisition, and in that first part there, just one of the big things that the district is very important is that we own the land and the building of the locker room that's adjacent to the ice arena. And we will have that. It'll all be spelled out in the legal description of the plot that will be deeded over to the city. And then the city has also agreed to give the district easement through new city property that we will deed over to them to have access to the locker room. So that's an important point that we worked through to make sure that we've got. And then the rest is all just about what the site acquisition is going to be, and kind of walks through that piece. Talks about what the city and the school district will enter into the following agreements. It's a purchase agreement for $1 for us, for the city to purchase the actual land that's been defined. The use agreement that's provided for priority of school district use of the project when school's in session. So when school is in session, we have Phi Ed classes or any other activities, we have priority use of the project. If they want to do ball out there or whatever the case may be. There'll be a joint access parking agreement for the access roads and parking lots located on the ice park parcel and the property. And then I did add in there that with regards to Tiger Drive, the city agrees to plow Tiger Drive through the campus as necessary to access the ice park. So I talked to each board member about that. Each board member was in agreement that we didn't need to get formalized into a maintenance agreement, since they are taking over the drive north of the arena and the entire parking lot between the elementary school and the ice park, the future ice park there. So, but they'll take care of plowing it and any other things that we've done over the years traditionally to help each other out with regards to commonly used walkways and things like that. The second article speaks to the project design and construction. And most of this is really between the city and hockey, as they are going to be paying for the project 50-50 in that piece. So there's not a ton that's there, other than that the district does have the final approval of design project. We are part of that. Not that we dictate what it would look like, but just to make sure that we're still involved in it, as it does sit in the middle of our campus. So it kind of goes through all of that piece. Let's see, the third article talks about project financing. And again, that's a majority of that is really up to the city and hockey. It talks about how the city will pay for 50%. They're talking about an anticipated total cost of the project of $4 million. Half of that's going to come from hockey, half of that's going to come from city. The city's portion of it is going to be from Park Dedication Fund and the municipal liquor reserves. And then DEHA will come up with this, they already have a cash value of contribution to services of $600,000. The rest will be $1.4 million, which makes up their half, which they will repay back to the city as they bond it. That's their facility to bond finance it. So that's their method to pay back the city on that piece.
Matt, I did have one question on that, because, and maybe I misunderstood what I read, but I thought it also said in there that the city would take a tax abatement to help pay for it. And to me, that kind of is contrary to what we were told. And again, gives me pause about the entire project by putting more additional expenses on our community members. And so it very clearly states in there that the city can or will take a tax abatement.
Yeah, under letter D, it states that, to my understanding, when I spoke with Phil Kern about this, the actual repayment amounts will include financing costs and interests. So the anything that the city, the interest on those payments and all those things will not be a tax burden, to my understanding, because DEHA will pay that back. So
right, but the agreement does say that they can take a tax abatement, which when I look up the definition of a tax abatement, says that they can put a tax onto the community to help pay for it. So it states it right in there, which is opposite of what we were told. But again, I am happy if someone can tell me that I'm misunderstanding what I'm reading.
The way it was explained to me, and I'm not completely versed in how the city does their finance pieces, I would equate it to similar to bond payments that the district does have in their debt service. But in the payments, it's not coming from the city. The payments are coming from DEHA. So I think that's just a method to facilitate that they have the authority to raise the dollars to the $2.4 million, but the payments are from DEHA, not from city property tax owners. That's what Phil told me.
Okay, but the legal document is not written that way.
I think it has to be written that way to guarantee the dollars. And again, if it doesn't come through, that's where you have, I believe it's in one of the articles here, the termination of the agreement.
Right. Again, it gives me pause, when we're looking at also going out for money for a referendum, that then there's, people that are savvy and can get a hold of this. It clearly states in there that they can take a tax abatement, which, we're going after money. The city has just increased everybody's property taxes. Gas is it's going to be $5 a gallon. There's massive inflation. I am afraid that this is going to hurt us, but I know I don't want to beat a dead horse. But when I read through that, that's the one piece that stuck out to me.
I can confirm again from Phil, just to make sure of that explanation. I'm probably not doing the best justice of that, to make sure I can confirm with him and pass that on to the board as well. But that's my understanding. This was not to be any kind of a burden onto our property tax owners.
Matt, since we're pausing for questions, I think the one question I had is just maybe a point of clarification. When it referenced in there, when I read it said, when school is in session, and you kind of touched on that, the school had priority, but when school wasn't in session, DEHA had priority. So what does that mean for our high school hockey team? And so in session, does that mean the school year or does that mean the school day?
The school year and the school day. So we talked about that with hockey, and they will, our hockey teams will have access, priority access time of whether it's practice or game times,
Okay.
as was in the past. I think this was reflective on, it's a city park, going to be run by hockey, or at least operated that way. During the school day, we have some priorities there, but we would also have priorities in scheduling for all our teams as well.
Okay.
And I have a question. Matt, you had mentioned that the district would approve the plan. Is that another thing? It sounds like you and Phil have talked about, but isn't referenced in the agreement?
It is referenced in the agreement. If you look at, let's see here. I want to look it up here. So at the end of the feasibility and design phase, this is number 2 under Article 2, letter A. The final project design shall be submitted to each party hereunto for its review and approval. So we will have our review and approval, and then further down in the agreement, beyond the funding and beyond Article 4 of the operations of how it's going to be operated, the commitment and termination is that at the bottom there under Article 5, letter B, right underneath number 2, the parties will negotiate the terms and conditions of the agreements in good faith. These agreements shall be in final form prior to the parties' final approval of design under subsection 2A2. So basically this is the overarching umbrella agreement. We have several agreements in Article 5 that talks about commitments and termination, but the parties anticipate entering into following future agreements as described in this MOU. For example, the city and the school district will have the purchase agreement for the Ice Park parcel. We'll have the operations and use agreement for the school district use of the project, and then the joint access and the fees. All of those pebbles, I call them, the boulder is this MOU. The pebbles that are still working out the logistics need to be agreed upon prior to final approval of a project design and feasibility study. So that kind of keeps us in the interest level of making sure that we've got everything figured out before they totally commit to moving forward with the project.
And then at that point, it sounds like the city and Delano Hockey take over from a construction timing and responsibilities perspective. Does the district not have a play of, transparency at that level once that is complete? Or I'm just wondering about construction timing responsibilities and what impact that will have on the school access.
Yeah, we won't have control over the time frame. The city is going to manage the project, but it's just like a project manage when we build a school. We're definitely at the table, so we can work on time frames, making sure that it doesn't interrupt any school functions, school year activities, things like that.
You'll have a easement for the driveway portion so that parents can access the elementary school parking lot?
Yep.
Okay. And then does the city then now own the existing rink?
The city will own the land under the existing rink and will assume the lease agreement that DASA has.
Okay. So our lease agreement transfers to the city.
Correct. Because they become the landowner.
But they will own the land and the new rinks.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question too. At one point, we had talked about this I didn't see anything in this memorandum of understanding. It's probably in one of those other agreements that you talked about that have yet to be decided, but where do we get the kind of the confidence or the confirmation that the usage of that space won't be for big parties and events and things like that, where there could potentially be alcohol served?
Yeah, that's already spoken to in city ordinances. So even though it's a city park, there is that issue, and it's not articulated here because we felt that it was already spoken to in a city ordinance, is that you cannot have any alcohol served or consumed within 300 feet of the of any school within the community, and that's definitely within there. So the parties know that there is no way that, you know, they can host events, they just can't have any kind of alcoholic beverages on site at all. And then the last article speaks to just miscellaneous things about the duration, any notice in writing that the parties have to let each other know of anything that they would like to change in the agreement. It has to be mutually agreed upon. And then that is the agreement. Are there any other questions that I can answer?
None from me. Anybody else have anything else?
Did we lost Jenny, by the way, it looks like.
I'm here.
Oh,
I was gone for a second.
I was gonna say, you look like you're there on mine.
sorry about that, Jenny.
Okay.
No worries.
I think we've talked about this a lot. I think there's still, right? It's a unique project to proceed with, right? I think overall from my perspective, but, and the timing isn't ideal for us, but the timing is ideal for the rest.
Yeah, and I think this is a potential to be a positive move forward. As long as, and we've talked about this several times at several meetings prior to this agreement. I think in my opinion, I believe I'm comfortable moving forward with the district and the board moving forward to accept the agreement. And then I'll continue to work on the ancillary agreements, either with city or hockey, just to spell out those other types of details that we need to have, and making sure that's all taken care of before they actually go into their final project design phase.
Anything else? Okay, with that, do we have a motion to accept the agreement?
I like the motion.
And do we have a second? Deco will second the motion. We have a motion by Lisa, second by Jaffa. Is there any other discussion? All right, with that, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Ms. Seguin,
Aye.
Ms. Roser,
Aye.
Ms. Deppa,
Aye.
Ms. Rosenau,
What am I to the agreement? I
and Ms. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion passes. That is the end, I believe, of our meeting. Our meeting is adjourned. Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
thank you.
Thank you for your
Good
time.
night, everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night.